What truly connects us as human beings? What defines the essence of our shared struggles, triumphs, and dreams? For the Dalai Lama, one of the most revered spiritual leaders of our era, the answer is clear: compassion. More than just a fleeting emotion, compassion is a profound and transformative force, one that has the power to heal individuals, unite communities, and inspire a more harmonious world. Imagine a world where every thought, word, and action is infused with compassion. How beautiful, how peaceful, and how extraordinary would that be? The Dalai Lama teaches us that compassion is not just a noble idea or passive feeling. It is active, intentional, and deeply rooted in the wisdom of Buddhist principles. Compassion is the antidote to suffering, a bridge to deeper human connection, and a pathway to inner peace. It is a practice that starts within and radiates outward, creating ripples of positive change in our lives and the world around us. In this journey of discovery, we'll explore the philosophy, practice, and boundless power of compassion. Together, let's uncover how it can transform our lives and contribute to a better, kinder, and more united world. If this message resonates with you, let's spread it further. Subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. Let's inspire compassion together and create a ripple effect that transforms lives. Click. Understanding compassion. At its core, compassion invites us to ask a profound question. Can we witness the suffering of another and feel genuinely moved to act? Unlike sympathy, which often involves a distant and passive form of pity, compassion demands heartfelt engagement. It is not merely about recognizing suffering, but about summoning the courage to face it directly, not with fear or avoidance, but with love and understanding. Consider for a moment the inner strength required to transform pain, whether it's ours or someone else's, into a source of healing and hope. This transformative quality is what elevates compassion from an emotion to a powerful force for change. The Dalai Lama frequently frames compassion within the broader context of interdependence. This concept underscores the understanding that all beings are deeply interconnected, like threads in an intricate tapestry. Each life, unique yet intertwined, influences and is influenced by countless others. Isn't it humbling to recognize that our joys and sorrows are not isolated experiences, but are shared in ways we may not always perceive? When we extend kindness or compassion to another person, we are, in essence, nurturing our collective well-being. In this sense, compassion becomes a bridge, a way of connecting individuals to the larger human experience, reminding us that our individual lives are part of a greater whole. This interconnectedness calls us to reflect on the profound ripple effect of our actions. A single act of compassion has the power to inspire others, creating a cascade of goodwill that transcends individual boundaries. Think, for instance, of how a simple smile or an act of kindness can lighten someone's emotional burden, often in ways that far exceed our intentions. This positivity, when passed on, reinforces the web of connection that binds us together. Compassion, therefore, becomes more than a personal virtue. It becomes a catalyst for societal harmony, reminding us that even the smallest gestures can hold deep and lasting significance. However, compassion's reach is not limited to aiding others. It also extends inward, into the realms of our own hearts and minds. How often do we judge ourselves harshly, denying the care and understanding we so readily offer to others? Imagine for a moment gazing upon your own pain with the same tender kindness you would offer to a beloved friend. The Dalai Lama's teachings highlight that self-compassion is far from an act of indulgence. It is, in fact, the foundation of true healing and growth. By turning inward with empathy, we can better navigate our struggles, cultivating the inner strength needed to face life's challenges. Self-compassion requires a conscious effort to reframe our inner dialogue. Instead of succumbing to relentless self-criticism, we can choose acceptance and understanding. It involves recognizing our humanity, embracing our imperfections, and understanding that setbacks and struggles are not personal failures but integral aspects of the shared human experience. By adopting this perspective, we build resilience, equipping ourselves to approach difficulties with greater clarity, patience, and wisdom. Treating ourselves with the same compassion we extend to others unlocks a powerful resource, a wellspring of inner peace, and the capacity for transformation. It is important to recognize that compassion is not a passive state of being. It is an active practice, one that requires intention, effort, and a willingness to engage deeply with the world around us. It calls us to be present, to truly see and acknowledge the pain of others and ourselves without turning away or minimizing its significance. This practice can be nurtured through mindfulness and meditation, tools that anchor us in the present moment and expand our capacity for empathy. The Dalai Lama often advocates for meditation on loving kindness as a means to deepen compassion. Through this practice, we learn to extend wishes for happiness and well-being to all sentient beings, reinforcing our commitment to a life guided by kindness and connection. In a world frequently characterized by division, conflict, and misunderstanding, compassion emerges as a unifying force. It challenges us to look beyond superficial differences of race, religion, nationality, or culture, and to see the shared humanity that resides within us all. The Dalai Lama's life and teachings embody this principle, and a super example is compared with the lives of the Sikh Mano Vicky. He consistently advocates for a global ethic rooted in compassion and understanding, emphasizing that these qualities are not just moral ideals but practical necessities for creating a harmonious and equitable world. His message serves as a poignant reminder that cultivating compassion is not merely an individual endeavor. It is a collective imperative. Ultimately, compassion transforms both the giver and the receiver. It teaches us that vulnerability is not a weakness to be hidden, but a pathway to authentic connection. Through compassion, we discover that love, in its truest form, has the power to transcend suffering, bridging the gaps that divide us and bringing light to even the darkest corners of existence. By embracing compassion, we align ourselves with the deeper truths of life, that we are all interconnected, that kindness is a profound healer, and that through empathy, we can navigate the challenges of our shared journey with grace and resilience. It is clear that compassion creates a state of well-being that is good for our well-being and resilience. As we reflect on these truths, we are reminded that compassion is not an abstract ideal, but a lived reality, one that requires us to show up, to care, and to act. Whether through grand gestures or quiet moments of understanding, compassion calls us to embody the values that unite us as human beings. It is in this spirit that we find not only the courage to face suffering, but also the hope and inspiration to create a better world, one act of kindness at a time. The healing effects of compassion. Compassion is an extraordinary force, a multifaceted healing tool that permeates every aspect of our lives. It extends far beyond a simple emotional reaction, reaching into our mental, physical, and social well-being. The transformative power of compassion lies in its ability to foster emotional resilience, mitigate stress, build meaningful connections, and even redefine personal suffering. In an increasingly fast-pacing and stressful world, compassion serves as a potent antidote to many of life's challenges, offering a path to both personal and collective healing. 1. Emotional resilience. Have you ever noticed how focusing on others can calm the turbulence within? Compassion shifts our inner narrative from self-centered questions like, "Why is this happening to me?" to outwardly directed ones such as, "How can I help?" This simple yet profound shift nurtures emotional resilience, providing us with a sense of purpose and grounding. Neuroscientific studies have demonstrated that acts of compassion activate neural pathways associated with joy, well-being, and emotional stability. These pathways release feel-good chemicals like endorphins and oxytocin, enhancing our mood and mental health. Moreover, compassion fosters a deep sense of meaning in life. When we extend kindness and support to others, we are reminded of our interconnectedness. This awareness helps us navigate life's adversities with greater strength and grace. Imagine a life where the act of helping someone else becomes a wellspring of your own joy and fulfillment. Doesn't that sound empowering? By practicing compassion, we cultivate a psychological buffer against life's inevitable challenges, enabling us to bounce back from setbacks more quickly and with greater clarity. 2. Stress reduction. In modern life, stress has become a ubiquitous companion, wreaking havoc on both our mental and physical health. From high blood pressure to weakened immunity, the impacts of chronic stress are far-reaching. Compassion, however, emerges as a powerful counterbalance. Research indicates that compassionate behaviors and practices, such as volunteering or engaging in mindfulness meditation, significantly reduce cortisol levels, the hormone most closely linked to stress. The Dalai Lama's teachings highlight that compassionate individuals develop inner strength, which allows them to face difficulties with a calm and clear perspective. When we direct our attention toward alleviating the suffering of others, our own stress response diminishes. This outward focus activates areas of the brain associated with caregiving and relaxation, creating a natural state of calm and balance. Could it be that by caring for others, we unlock the inner peace we so deeply seek? Compassion becomes not just an emotional act, but a physiological tool for reducing anxiety and fostering mental equilibrium. 3. Enhanced social connections. How often do we underestimate the power of human connection? Compassion forms the foundation of meaningful relationships by building trust, empathy, and mutual respect. When we approach others with genuine care, we create bonds that transcend superficial interactions. These connections not only enrich our lives, but also provide critical emotional support during difficult times. Scientific evidence supports this. Acts of compassion stimulate the brain's reward centers, releasing dopamine and reinforcing behaviors that strengthen social ties. Compassionate actions such as active listening or lending a helping hand deepen interpersonal trust and create a positive feedback loop in relationships. Imagine a world where every interaction is imbued with kindness, patience, and care. Isn't that the kind of society we all aspire to build? The Dalai Lama frequently emphasizes that compassion is the cornerstone of harmonious communities. It fosters cooperation, reduces conflict, and encourages a spirit of collective well-being. By practicing compassion in our daily lives, we contribute to a ripple effect that can transform not just our immediate relationships, but also the broader social fabric. In this way, compassion becomes a bridge that connects individuals, communities, and even nations. 4. Transforming personal suffering. Perhaps one of the most profound effects of compassion is its ability to reframe personal suffering. Have you noticed how helping others often eases your own pain? The Dalai Lama speaks eloquently about compassion's power to shift the focus from "why me" to "how can I help?" This shift not only alleviates emotional distress, but also empowers us with a renewed sense of purpose and agency. When we extend compassion to others, we gain perspective on our own struggles. Our pain, rather than isolating us, becomes a pathway to empathy and connection. Scientific research supports this transformative process. Acts of kindness and compassion activate the brain's caregiving systems, which release oxytocin and other hormones that counteract feelings of sadness and despair. By helping others, we effectively heal ourselves. This reframing of suffering is liberating. Instead of viewing challenges as barriers, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth and understanding. Compassion teaches us that our pain has meaning, that it can serve as a bridge to understanding the struggles of others. Isn't it liberating to transform personal hardships into sources of strength and connection? The ripple effect of compassion. The healing power of compassion extends far beyond the individual. When we practice compassion, we inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. Compassion fosters a culture of kindness where individuals feel seen, supported, and valued. This cultural shift has the potential to address systemic issues like inequality, discrimination, and conflict, paving the way for a more harmonious and just world. Imagine a world where compassion is not just an occasional act, but a way of life. A world where empathy replaces judgment, where understanding overcomes division, and where kindness is the norm rather than the exception. This vision may seem idealistic, but it is achievable if each of us commits to embodying compassion in our daily lives. Compassion is not just a moral virtue, it is a powerful tool for healing and transformation. It nurtures emotional resilience, reduces stress, strengthens social bonds, and redefines personal suffering. In doing so, it offers a path to both personal fulfillment and collective well-being. The Dalai Lama often reminds us that compassion is the essence of our humanity. By embracing this quality, we unlock its profound potential to heal not only ourselves, but also the world around us. Compassion invites us to see our interconnectedness and to act with kindness and care. Isn't it time we answered that call? Practicing compassion. Compassion is not an innate trait but a skill that can be cultivated through intentional practice and mindfulness. The Dalai Lama, one of the foremost proponents of compassionate living, offers practical guidance for developing this transformative quality. His teachings highlight that compassion is not limited to grand gestures, but thrives in the simplicity of daily life. How can we as individuals embark on this journey of cultivating compassion in our everyday actions and thoughts? Compassion meditation, a gateway to empathy. One of the most profound ways to cultivate compassion is through meditation. Close your eyes and imagine breathing in the pain and suffering of the world, then exhaling love, joy, and relief. This is Tonglen, a meditative practice that the Dalai Lama often emphasizes. It expands empathy and fosters a deep sense of interconnectedness with all beings. In practice, Tonglen invites you to visualize specific individuals, groups, or even abstract forms of suffering. Imagine someone you know who is struggling, a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger you saw in distress. As you breathe in, see their pain as a dark, heavy cloud entering your heart, transforming into a radiant light of love and healing as you exhale. This cycle of inhaling and exhaling is not merely symbolic. It activates neural pathways associated with empathy and compassion. Over time, this visualization helps bridge the gap between yourself and others, allowing you to feel their struggles as your own. The Dalai Lama teaches that such practices help us connect to the collective heartbeat of humanity. By focusing on this shared connection, we overcome the illusion of separateness and build a foundation for authentic compassion. Can you feel the power in that connection? As you practice, notice how this sense of shared humanity grows within you, strengthening your emotional resilience and capacity for kindness. Reflecting on interdependence. Recognizing the web of life. Another cornerstone of cultivating compassion lies in understanding interdependence. What if we saw ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as integral parts of a vast, interconnected web of life? The Dalai Lama often reminds us that every action we take affects countless others, whether directly or indirectly. Reflecting on interdependence starts with simple observations. Think about the food you eat, the farmers who grew it, the drivers who transported it, the grocery workers who stocked it. Consider the clothes you wear, the technology you use, and even the air you breathe. Each aspect of your life is a product of countless contributions from others. This realization inspires a profound sense of gratitude and responsibility. When we acknowledge this interconnectedness, feelings of isolation and alienation begin to dissolve. Instead, they are replaced by a sense of belonging and purpose. The Dalai Lama's teachings emphasize that this understanding nurtures care and responsibility for others, as we come to see that our well-being is inextricably linked to theirs. Could this perspective inspire you to act with greater compassion and awareness? Imagine a world where every individual recognizes their role in the intricate tapestry of life. How might such a shift transform our collective approach to kindness and care? I was thinking about the pressured trees wrapped around my neighborhood the other day, when the rain slowed down on my friendly neighbor, engaging in altruistic acts, small gestures, big impacts. Sometimes, the path to compassion begins with the simplest of actions, a smile, a helping hand, or a listening ear. These small gestures, though seemingly insignificant, hold the power to create profound ripples of change. The Dalai Lama frequently underscores the importance of consistent, everyday acts of kindness as a way to cultivate and express compassion. Imagine the impact of offering a genuine compliment, volunteering your time, or simply holding the door open for someone. These acts might seem trivial, but they can brighten someone's day and inspire them to pass the kindness forward. Research supports the Dalai Lama's insights, showing that altruistic behavior not only benefits recipients, but also enhances the well-being of the giver. Engaging in acts of kindness activates areas of the brain associated with pleasure and reward, creating a positive feedback loop that encourages continued generosity. The ripple effect of compassion is undeniable. One small act can inspire another, leading to a cascade of kindness that touches lives in ways we may never see. How might your actions today spark meaningful transformations tomorrow? Reflect on the opportunities in your life to offer kindness. Each moment, no matter how mundane, holds the potential to create change. Practicing self-compassion, turning kindness inward. 3. While compassion for others is essential, the Dalai Lama reminds us that true compassion begins within. Why is it so difficult to extend kindness to ourselves? Many of us are our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and berating ourselves for perceived shortcomings. Yet self-compassion is a vital component of a compassionate life. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same care, understanding, and forgiveness that you offer others. It means acknowledging your struggles without judgment and embracing your imperfections as part of the human experience. When you practice self-compassion, you nurture emotional resilience, fostering a sense of inner harmony that radiates outward. The Dalai Lama suggests simple practices to cultivate self-compassion. For instance, when you face failure or difficulty, pause and ask yourself, "What would I say to a dear friend in this situation?" Then, offer those same words of encouragement to yourself. Additionally, engage in self-care activities that replenish your energy and restore your sense of well-being. Whether it's taking a walk in nature, journaling, or practicing mindfulness, these acts of self-kindness build a foundation for greater compassion toward others. Next, imagine how your life might change if you embraced yourself with open arms. By cultivating self-compassion, you not only heal your inner world, but also enhance your ability to show up for others with authenticity and care. Compassion in a global context. Let's dream together. What if compassion were not just a personal practice, but a guiding principle for humanity? The Dalai Lama often speaks of compassion as the foundation for a peaceful and harmonious world, urging individuals, communities, and nations to adopt it as a universal value. Imagine a society where compassion serves as the driving force behind decisions, resolving conflicts, bridging divides, and inspiring policies rooted in fairness and care. In such a world, leaders would prioritize the collective good over personal gain, ensuring that justice, equity, and empathy shape every aspect of governance. Picture international diplomacy transformed by compassion, where disputes are addressed through understanding and mutual respect. Conflicts between nations could be mitigated by prioritizing shared humanity over political and economic interests. Policies tackling global crises such as climate change, poverty, and inequality would be designed not just to manage problems, but to heal wounds, nurture collaboration, and uplift the most vulnerable. The ripple effect of compassion could extend to every corner of the globe, fostering a world where peace and cooperation prevail. Isn't this the kind of leadership humanity desperately needs? Isn't this the vision worth striving for? Education. In education, compassion can be the cornerstone of creating inclusive and supportive environments where every child feels seen, heard, and valued. A compassionate approach to teaching goes beyond academic instruction. It nurtures emotional well-being, self-confidence, and mutual respect. Imagine classrooms where teachers model kindness, empathy, and patience, inspiring students to embody these values in their interactions with others. What if education systems prioritized emotional intelligence alongside traditional academics? Students could learn conflict resolution, cultural sensitivity, and active listening skills as part of their curriculum. Schools could become spaces where diversity is celebrated, and students are encouraged to view differences as opportunities for growth and connection, rather than sources of division. Compassion-focused education could produce a generation of leaders who prioritize collaboration and kindness, individuals equipped to tackle the world's challenges with creativity and a sense of shared responsibility. Furthermore, compassionate education extends to addressing systemic inequities. Schools in underserved communities could be empowered with resources to ensure every child has access to quality education. Compassion could drive policies that bridge gaps in opportunity, fostering a society where no child is left behind. Could such an approach redefine the purpose of education, making it not just a means to an end, but a transformative journey toward a better world? Healthcare. In healthcare, compassion is not just a moral imperative, but a practical necessity. Studies have shown that patients who feel cared for and understood experience better health outcomes. Compassionate care builds trust, strengthens the doctor-patient relationship, and fosters an environment where healing is holistic, addressing not just physical ailments, but also emotional and psychological needs. Imagine a healthcare system where every interaction, from the reception desk to the operating room, is infused with empathy. Doctors, nurses, and caregivers would treat patients as individuals with unique stories, fears, and hopes. Such an approach could revolutionize patient experiences, reducing anxiety and creating a sense of safety and support. Moreover, compassion in healthcare could extend to systemic reforms. Policies could prioritize accessibility and equity, ensuring that everyone, regardless of socioeconomic status, receives quality care. Hospitals and clinics could focus on preventive care, mental health support, and community wellness initiatives, addressing the root causes of illness rather than just the symptoms. For healthcare professionals, a compassionate culture could reduce burnout and promote job satisfaction, creating a sustainable and effective workforce. Isn't this the kind of transformation we need to truly promote wellness and healing? Business. In the business world, compassion is often underestimated, yet it holds the potential to reshape organizational cultures and redefine success. Compassionate businesses prioritize the well-being of employees, customers, and communities, recognizing that success is not just about profits, but also about creating positive social impact. Imagine workplaces where leaders practice active listening, value employee contributions, and foster a culture of mutual respect. Such environments encourage collaboration, innovation, and loyalty as employees feel supported and empowered to thrive. Companies that embrace compassion often find that it leads to higher productivity, lower turnover rates, and stronger customer relationships. Now, beyond internal practices, businesses driven by compassion can become forces for good in society. They can adopt ethical supply chains, invest in sustainable practices, and support initiatives that benefit local communities. By aligning business goals with social and environmental responsibility, companies can contribute to building a fairer and more sustainable world. What if the business sector collectively embraced the idea of a triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit? Such a shift could redefine the role of businesses in society, transforming them into partners in addressing global challenges. Isn't this the kind of inclusive and progressive approach that could inspire both growth and meaningful change? The ripple effect of compassion. When compassion is embraced across global contexts, in leadership, education, healthcare, and business, its impact multiplies, creating ripples that extend far beyond individual actions. Compassion becomes a unifying force, breaking down barriers and fostering connections. It has the power to heal divisions, address inequalities, and inspire collective action toward a brighter future. Could a compassionate world be more than just a dream? Perhaps the real question is, can we afford not to make it a reality? Compassion in leadership and society. Compassionate leadership is one of the most transformative forces in human history. Leaders who center their actions on empathy, kindness, and understanding have the power to inspire trust, foster cooperation, and ignite collective action. They bridge divides, heal wounds, and create pathways for sustainable and inclusive progress. In the modern world, the need for compassionate leadership has never been more critical. With escalating global challenges such as political polarization, climate change, and social inequality, the ability to lead with heart and vision can redefine the trajectory of humanity. History offers numerous examples of compassionate leaders whose empathy and understanding catalyzed profound societal change. Mahatma Gandhi stands as a timeless symbol of nonviolent resistance and moral courage. By leading India to independence through peaceful means, Gandhi demonstrated that compassion and strength are not mutually exclusive, but complementary forces. His philosophy of ahimsa transcended borders, inspiring movements for civil rights and social justice worldwide. Similarly, Martin Luther King Jr. exemplified the power of compassionate leadership during the American Civil Rights Movement. His dream of a society rooted in equality and justice was fueled by his ability to empathize with those who suffered under the weight of systemic racism. King's ability to inspire change while preaching love and understanding, even toward those who opposed him, is a testament to the transformative power of compassion. The Dalai Lama, a spiritual and global leader, continues to advocate for compassion as a cornerstone of leadership. In his teachings, he emphasizes that genuine leadership transcends authority and power. It is grounded in a deep commitment to the welfare of others and the ability to see the interconnectedness of all beings. During crises, such as humanitarian disasters or global pandemics, the Dalai Lama's call for compassion resonates even more strongly. He often asks us to imagine a world where leaders prioritize empathy and kindness over personal gain and political agendas. What kind of harmony and progress could we achieve if decision-making at all levels were driven by the well-being of all? This question invites reflection not only from politicians and business leaders, but from anyone in a position of influence. Compassion in leadership is not limited to addressing interpersonal or immediate community concerns. It also has profound implications for tackling systemic challenges such as poverty, inequality, and climate change. A compassionate approach to governance would prioritize policies that ensure the well-being of every individual, especially the most vulnerable. Consider how poverty could be alleviated through programs that focus on equitable access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. Leaders who operate with empathy understand that uplifting the marginalized strengthens society as a whole. Similarly, addressing inequality, whether based on race, gender, or socioeconomic status, requires the courage to listen deeply to those who are often silenced and to implement reforms that promote justice and fairness. Climate change, one of the most pressing global crises, also demands compassionate leadership. Policies rooted in empathy for future generations and the planet's ecosystems would shift the focus from short-term gains to long-term sustainability. Compassionate leaders recognize the interdependence of all life on Earth and understand that protecting the environment is not merely a political or economic issue, but a moral imperative. Collaborative international efforts, fueled by empathy and a shared sense of responsibility, could lead to breakthroughs in renewable energy, conservation, and sustainable development. In a world increasingly dominated by technology and rapid change, compassion can also serve as a counterbalance to the impersonal nature of modern systems. Imagine businesses adopting compassionate practices by prioritizing employee well-being, ethical supply chains, and community engagement. Schools could integrate emotional intelligence and empathy training into their curriculums, equipping future generations with the tools to navigate a complex world with kindness and understanding. Even in healthcare, compassionate leadership could lead to patient-centered approaches that prioritize dignity and holistic well-being over profit-driven models. The ripple effects of compassion extend beyond the tangible. When leaders act with empathy, they inspire others to do the same. Compassion becomes a cultural norm, influencing relationships, workplaces, and communities. At an individual level, people begin to prioritize kindness in their daily interactions, creating an environment where trust and cooperation flourish. This shift in mindset can create a positive feedback loop where acts of compassion generate hope, resilience, and solidarity. The transformative potential of compassion is limitless. Imagine a world where compassion guides every decision, from local governance to international diplomacy. Governments would enact policies that prioritize social justice, environmental preservation, and human dignity. Businesses would align their goals with the greater good, ensuring that profitability and ethical responsibility coexist. Communities would embrace diversity and inclusion, valuing every individual's contribution to the collective well-being. At the heart of such a world lies the understanding that compassion is not a weakness but a strength that unites, heals, and propels humanity forward. In conclusion, compassion in leadership and society is not merely an idealistic notion, but a practical and necessary approach to addressing the challenges of our time. Leaders like Gandhi, King, and the Dalai Lama remind us of the profound impact empathy can have on the world. By centering compassion in our decisions and actions, we can create a future where humanity thrives together. The question remains, are we ready to embrace this vision and let compassion guide our collective journey? The eternal call of compassion. Compassion is not merely a practice, it is a profound way of being, a testament to the boundless beauty and potential of the human spirit. Rooted in the teachings of the Dalai Lama and countless other spiritual leaders throughout history, compassion challenges us to move beyond the superficial aspects of life and delve into the core of our shared humanity. What would your life look like if compassion were your guiding principle, the compass that directed your every thought, word, and action? How might it transform not only the relationships you cherish, but also the very essence of your existence? To live compassionately is to embrace a radical interconnectedness with all beings. It calls us to recognize that beneath the surface of our differences, we all share the same aspirations: to be happy, to avoid suffering, to love, and to be loved. Compassion bridges the gaps created by fear, prejudice, and misunderstanding, enabling us to see others as reflections of ourselves. When we allow compassion to guide us, we begin to interact with the world in ways that are both transformative and profound. A seemingly simple gesture, a warm smile, a moment of patient listening, or an act of generosity can ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. Perhaps the greatest gift we can offer to the world is to live with open hearts, ready to embrace both suffering and joy as integral parts of the human experience. This openness is not a sign of weakness, rather, it is a testament to our inner strength and resilience. To truly embrace compassion, we must confront life's inevitable challenges with courage and grace, understanding that suffering is not something to be feared or avoided, but an opportunity for growth and connection. By meeting suffering with compassion, we not only ease the pain of others, but also deepen our own capacity for empathy and love. 4. Taking care of ourselves helps us better serve and take care of others. Compassion is not merely a tool for navigating difficult moments, it is the very essence of what it means to be alive. It is the spark that ignites our capacity for kindness, the foundation upon which genuine relationships are built, and the force that unites communities in times of crisis. Through reflection, we can gain insight into the sources of suffering, both within ourselves and in the world around us. Through mindfulness, we can cultivate a heightened awareness of the present moment, allowing us to respond to the needs of others with authenticity and care. And through deliberate action, we can turn these insights into tangible expressions of love and support. Answering compassion's eternal call is not a single act, but a lifelong journey. It demands that we continually examine our own biases, challenge the habits of indifference that can so easily take root, and confront the barriers that prevent us from fully embracing others. This journey is not always easy. It requires vulnerability, patience, and a willingness to step outside our comfort zones. Yet it is precisely through this journey that we discover our greatest potential, not only as individuals, but as members of a global community. Imagine a world where compassion is not the exception but the norm. In such a world, acts of kindness would be celebrated as the highest form of success, and the measure of a life well lived would be the depth of one's connections with others. Fear and division would give way to understanding and unity, and hope would flourish even in the face of adversity. By choosing compassion, we become architects of this vision, building a future rooted in kindness and mutual respect. When we live with compassion as our guiding principle, we transform not only the lives of those around us, but also our own. We discover that true happiness lies not in the pursuit of self-interest, but in the joy of giving and the fulfillment of making a positive difference. Compassion teaches us that our greatest strength lies in our ability to care for one another, to uplift those who are struggling, and to celebrate the triumphs of others as if they were our own. The Dalai Lama often speaks of compassion as the path to inner peace and global harmony. His words remind us that compassion is not a luxury or an idealistic dream, but a necessity for the survival of humanity. In a world that often feels divided and fragmented, compassion offers a way forward, a means of healing the wounds of the past and building bridges to a brighter future. Through reflection, mindfulness, and deliberate action, we can answer compassion's eternal call. Each day presents us with countless opportunities to embody compassion, from the way we treat those closest to us to the choices we make as global citizens. By weaving compassion into the fabric of our daily lives, we create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate circles, touching the lives of people we may never meet and inspiring others to do the same. Compassion's call is timeless and universal, resonating across cultures, religions, and generations. It reminds us of our shared humanity and our collective potential to create a world where kindness, connection, and hope are not exceptions but the foundations of our existence. By answering this call, we honor the essence of what it means to be alive, embracing a way of life that is as fulfilling as it is transformative.